please do, if you feel it needs to be reviewed, go and take a look at those sites. But I'm going to focus in particular on the district recognition program. So that means the Distinguished Club program in the clubs and the district recognition program. So there's a few different ways that we measure success. We're measuring success. So we're trying to achieve these targets because we believe that there's solid indicators that at the club level, the individual member in the clubs are doing well and getting the most out of Toastmasters. That's what these programs are designed to measure. There's a lot of people that get fatigue around the idea of saying, well, I'm just a DCP point, or the district is just trying to create a new club so it can hit its mark. And I recognize that, you know, people get tired of hearing that because they don't understand why we want to achieve those things. And through this session, I'd like to make sure that you all fundamentally understand why these are the metrics we're measuring. And then I want you to understand how to use them. Recently this week, or in the past couple of weeks, I was part of a club, and we were trying to become distinguished. We're ultimately going to be President's Distinguished, yay. But as part of it, we brought in some transfer members. And we thought, hey, we're all the way, we're going to qualify to become distinguished. And it turns out transfer members don't count. And as district director, or incoming district director, I just learned that a week ago. So I'm here to try to get you all that information now so that you can help your clubs not be surprised when they think they've achieved a distinguished club and they're not quite there and they can't understand what the dashboard says, etc. So we're going to spend a fair amount of time really working that and quizzing that. You don't have to memorize all the requirements, but it's good if you understand them. And now's the great time to ask questions. So here are a variety of the things that we're going to go through. I'm going to skip the moments of truth. Kimberly's session with the area visit report really focused in on that. Moments of Truth is an outstanding tool that every club should do at least once a year. There's a module in it. It focuses in on all of those moments that define the club experience for its members, its guests, its club officers, etc. And it is parallel to the area visit report. It is paralleled to the Distinguished Club program. They're all written to work together. We're going to define your roles as of area division directors with respect to the recognition program, not in general. We're going to describe the programs, identify your goals for achieving distinguished area, for achieving distinguished division. And we're going to talk about why this is important for any of you. Why should we care? Why is this at all relevant? And to identify resources, etc. So, skipping moments of truth, let's move right into qualifying requirements. So the Distinguished Club program requires that you qualify for it. Membership of 20 or net growth of at least 5 new members as of the 30th of June. So what does that mean exactly when we say net growth? Means that the net growth occurs when the total number of club members at year end exceeds the base amount. And so when we were getting these transfer members, we thought, great, we're going to totally qualify this. But it's really where the payment was made. Yeah. Right? So if they paid in Club ABC and they transfer to Club DEF, they count as a new member or a new member payment or a member payment in ABC, their original club. They don't count for nothing in DEF until they actually pay as a member of that club. For all intents and purposes for the recognition program, they're still a member of ABC.
So if I want my membership to count with a new club, I have to do a dual?
That's correct. If you join the other club as an additional member and pay it again, then it counts. But if you transfer over, you're effectively still in the other club.
And by the way, if I remove from the first club, they will maintain the points?
That's right, because you paid in that club, and even though you transfer, they stay at ABC. The definition of base membership, it refers to the number of members on July 1st of club members, renewing, new, charter, dual, and reinstated who paid dues in April. So we had, in my club, some members transfer over after April. They won't count in my base because they didn't pay in my club. In September, if they stick around and they pay in my club,
Then
they'll be considered members of my club for the purposes of these programs. DCP education goals. There's a lot of them. Why are there so many?
2 program.
That's right, 2 programs. The Legacy program and the Pathways program.
Next year.
The Legacy program, this is the final year. So the DCP program will change in the next program year. It is likely to simply be the Pathways elements. But it's also possible that changes and there's a revision. I'm not certain which way they're going to go yet. So there's 12 possible DCP points that you can achieve on the education side of the program. CCs, Advanced Communication Awards, Leadership Awards, Level 1 Pathways Awards, Level 2, Level 3, Level 4, Level 5. What if you achieved all 12 of these as a club? How many DCP points would get recognized in the program? 6. Why is that?
Maximum.
Maximum 6. So only 6 points will count from this program, even if you have 10. Kimberly, for example, asked me this morning, hey, we have 9 DCP points, but it doesn't say we're President's Distinguished yet. Why is that? Well, 7 of those points were in this category, which means only 6 of them count. The other 4 DCP points that you can achieve are 1 point for getting 4 new members. We've already talked today about the fact that we get a fair amount of turnover in our clubs. Right now, I think we have more than we would like to see, but there's always going to be a natural amount of turnover. People move, people get promoted, maybe change clubs, people leave Toastmasters because they feel they've gotten all that they need out of it. Some of our members potentially don't see the value, and those are the people we really want to connect with. But there's a certain amount of natural turnover. So the DCP program is built to encourage clubs to get new members, because if you don't get the new members, your club starts to suffer. You don't have enough people to sustain a quality meeting. You don't get an injection of new blood to, bring up the next generation of leaders who will help run the club. It's the same officers year after year. Eventually those officers will say, really, somebody else is going to do this. I'm a little tired right now. And that club will suffer when that leadership evaporates. So we need new members, new blood, to make sure that the club experience is what all it could be.
And the transfer of a member don't count for new
That is
members.
correct. Transfer members don't count. Transfer members don't count. Remember, transfer members don't count until they pay. Then they're no longer transfer members, they're paid members.
Mhm.
So 4 new members will get you another DCP point. So if you bring in 8 members into your club, Toastmasters expects you to grow 8 new members every year, or new paid members. They could be dual. They will give you 2 DCP points. 1 for the first 4, 1 for the second 4, and nothing for the next 50. And I say the next 50, there is a club that has in fact achieved 63 new members this year.
Oh, yeah. Why not 2 clubs or 3 clubs?
They also only currently have 67 members.
And?
They started with 43.
And?
So you do the math.
Okay, so they gained a lot.
They gain and lose a fair. So is that healthy? I'm not sure, but it is a fun club.
Yeah. It's a fun club to manage, but it's a yo-yo club.
Somebody else had a question. Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
not sure what you're referring to as transfer.
Transfer members. So let's pretend I'm a member of, what's your club?
HEC?
I'm a member of HEC and I decide I want to join HEC Executive MBA Club.
Okay.
And I don't want to pay again. I can transfer my membership from HEC to HEC Executive MBA and just start attending these meetings and park my membership over here. That's a transfer.
Does that happen?
Yes.
Or if you're moving from one city to another,
Yeah.
Okay.
you could.
Yeah,
do
that's
the
more
transfer.
likely, but. And we talked this morning about clubs in formation, where we're parking members in a sponsor club while a new club forms. When we charter that new club, we transfer the members that we had parked from the sponsor club into the newly chartered club. So transferring happens fairly often. You get another DCP point when a minimum of 4 club officers are trained during the first and second training period. First training period is on now, from June to end of August. Second training period is from December to the end of February. So why is this something that Toastmasters wants to recognize as a DCP point?
So people will go get trained.
Right, and why is that important to the club?
To participate.
Well, they know what they're doing, what they should be doing, I know that some of my clubs I've been, well, I already got trained once, I don't need to be trained again. It's the same thing all over again. Why do I need to be trained again?
So why do they need to be trained at all? Let's start there.
Consistency.
Consistency, okay.
Quality club.
Quality club.
And update the data.
Yeah. So at the core, we want officers trained so they understand the scope and responsibilities of their role, what they actually have to do in the club to make the club successful. VP Ed, running the program, membership, signing people up, ensuring that the experience is good, PR, making sure people are coming to the club, new guests, etc. If these things aren't happening, the club is eventually going to run into trouble and fold. And so the DCP is geared to recognize properly functioning clubs that are having their officers trained so they understand how to run their club to be successful, to create a great, supportive, safe environment in their clubs where their members can thrive. And so that's why this point is up there. And sorry, one more touch. Fran Mint talked about people that have already been to training. You know, they've been an officer, a bunch of different positions, and they've been trained and trained and trained and trained. So why is it important that they go? Well, things evolve. There's little changes every year that we have to take into consideration. You know, Pathways was a major change. And there were some very direct impacts on presidents, VPS, secretaries, that they had to be aware of and they had to be informed about their change in scope and responsibilities. And even when things don't change particularly radically, often we don't truly understand the depths of our responsibilities unless it's been repeated to us a few million times. As I said, transfer members, you know, my big revelation this year. I've been a district officer for the past 4 years. In the first year I figured this out. Took a while. Finally sunk in. Adam.
And plus it's also a very fun time to meet people and
The networking, can't say more about that, right?
Just to clarify the point though, it's 1 point provided you have 4 club members trained at both.
Correct,
So it's
in
not
both
1
periods.
point per training, it's
No.
1 point for both.
You need them both, yeah. And they recognize that maybe not all of your officers are going to be available to be trained, and that's why it's only 4 of the 7. Best if you have all 7, that's what we should shoot for, but you're not going to be penalized in the program if you can't achieve this. Additionally, Toastmasters recognizes that maybe the second round of training isn't as easy to get to, and that's why it's a point, and to be recognized as President's Distinguished only requires 9 of the 10. So if you can't achieve this, it's still possible to be President's Distinguished if you execute everywhere else. Now the final one is also a 2-parter. So you get a point for submitting your October membership renewals on time to stay as a club in good standing. And if you submit your club officer list on time, you have 7 days left. If your clubs have not submitted their officers for next year by the end of June 30th, you will lose this point. And why is that important? Why is either of these things important? What impact does it have on the club?
Well, it means you filled those roles, right? If you're submitting it, then it means.
So why are those particular roles important? So fill those roles. You mean you have club officers?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's part of it. What's another part?
Another part is for the area director to know who's that person.
So that we can create that connection?
So those officers can get credit for it if they're going towards their educational goals.
That's
Also-
right. So to get credit for club officer service requires 2 things.
To know them.
One, that TI knows that you served, and 2, that you've completed a club success plan. Actually 3 things. In 3, you've been trained. Without those 3 elements, you don't get credit, recognition for club officer service. Now, 2 of those things are on the honor system. You have to self-report if you've had a club success plan and self-report if you've been to training, because it's not tied individually to the officer, so it's, again, on the honor system. But, you know, one of our core values is integrity, so of course nobody would say, you know, a lie around that, right? So membership renewal on time is important because for a number of different reasons. One, Toastmasters costs a lot of money to operate, and that's why they collect dues. They're maintaining websites, they're improving the program, they're training officers worldwide, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so they need to collect funds to continue to operate successfully. So they need that money. And if they don't get that money from the clubs, they have a system in place that on October 1st, if you haven't paid, you lose access to Club Central. All right. I'll double check that one. That might not be quite right.
1 month.
Is it after 1 month?
Yes,
1
it
month?
is.
Yeah. You also lose the ability to participate in contests. You're no longer considered a club in good standing. So if your contest is in November or January and your club is not paid up, your contestants can't participate at the next level. You can't submit education awards for your members anymore. So it impacts your ability to administer your club. And if you ever get suspended, please don't get suspended. It's very, very sad. But if you get suspended, reinstatement of your club is a very painful process. You have to physically contact TI and say, here's our payment, please reinstate us, and make a phone call. And then TI will take all of your information and then go off and study the history of your club. Why they do that, I'm not entirely certain, but it takes time. And it could take a good month before they reinstate your club. And in all that time, your members don't have access to pathways. Your members can't submit any educational awards. You can't participate in the true fullness of the Toastmasters program. So be on time with this stuff, or it will impact your members' experience. All right. The Distinguished Club program has a variety of levels. If you achieve 5 of the 10 goals, you're considered distinguished. Congratulations. If you achieve 7 of the 10 goals, you're select distinguished. Even better. And if you achieve 9 of the 10 goals or more, you are president's distinguished. So there is a little wiggle room if you weren't able to get all your officers trained or you didn't quite achieve all the educationals, etc., to be recognized as one of the very best clubs in the world by being president's distinguished. All right, so we have a fun exercise here. Everybody memorized the stuff I put up in the earlier 2 slides, right? So we'll break up by division or in the groups that you were in before. And I want you, over the next 5 minutes, and this is also available in the participants workbook in Slack, but I'll leave it up here, and there's a copy over there for those in the back. Study this list of events and tell me whether or not this club is distinguished at the end of the year. 5 minutes.
So they get their